So there was the next speaker, Jens Vatter. Well, he really looks like very sporty. He's a heavyweight in terms of EMS skills and competences. Well, this is what I may say. We have to say what you do in Cologne. You two have a Petit Lounge. You are sports economist. You are master of health and fitness, a scientific consultant, trainer for EMS training, functional training and coaching. He's also the head of international EMS training of the Glucker colleague. EMS winning worldwide also has to do with him, his personality. You try to train people well, trying to make sure that people receive EMS training, proper one. He's a practitioner through and through. You also know the best ages from everyday training and can give us your experience. Tell us how we maybe fill the gap mentioned by Professor Kemmler with a market full of potential that may be exploited. So, Jens Vatter, thank you. So, at the very beginning, I've got a question to you because I personally, keep thinking, what does it mean, senior citizens? Who in this room, counts himself as a senior citizen? Well, raise your hands. Well, you can feel with senior citizens, it's a bit slower. This is why I ask again, who regards him or herself as a senior citizen in this respect? Let me ask differently. Who in this room is older than 70? Who is older than 60? Well, there were no hands before. Highly interesting. Didn't feel as a senior, but is the senior. Well, in the room, the senior means, the one, sticking out. And who's older than 50? Well, I know, I'm aware of that. Who's older than 40? Well, those who rose their hands would also have to do so now a second time. Well, then who's older than 30? Well, as by definition, all of you are seniors once you have crossed the threshold of 30 years. Well, some of you will start wondering. I myself am also doing sports. I am not only working in the field of EMS, but also track and field. And in Germany, as of 30, you are a senior. You are the masters for swimming. This applies as of the age of 25, because this is where aging starts. You start lagging behind when there are fast things. You cannot keep track. You cannot keep up. So this is what people thought about it. Now we've got a generation which is turning older and older, a generation that remains younger for longer and longer period. If we look at people who are 50 today and who, were age 50, 30 years ago, that's different. So if I had asked this question in the fitness market 30 years ago, who's older than 50, maybe two hands would have been raised and they would have called the dinosaurs. Well, I was also called the dinosaur of the EMS industry because I'm involved for 18 years. And, 18, that's just me growing up. So there are many young people and many children in the EMS sector, but no real senior. Then I also thought about what do these effects give us. In studies which were conducted, we have got body shaping effect with a low level of training required. Then we have got abdominal, visceral fat, people being overweight. I would like to underline this more than Wolfgang Kemmler did, and this is why many clients come for training purposes, because they are dissatisfied with what they look like. It's no longer as easy. It's no longer easy to remain slim, well-trained. All of a sudden, they feel heavier, and one or the other of you may also say that. As of 30, it starts, and some say, you cannot digest that so easily. Once you are out there a little bit longer at night, the next morning will look differently from when you were 18 years old. So where do we draw this line? We really take the ones who are older than 60. I regard people as senior citizens who are right there at the end of their professional or occupational lives, who are actually retired. I would select them. And now taking a closer look, muscle fibers was also mentioned in the morning in connection with competitive sports. It's also highly interesting to older people, the elderly. In my classical training range, no matter what I do, I've got the slow fibers active. So strictly speaking, no matter what I do, I train endurance. And then once I engage in intensive training, will I get some of the quick fibers coming in? I'm always limited. EMS makes life easier for us. The studies this morning underlined it. Dr. Kleinöde mentioned it. Well, you've got this power, this speed, it works good, and maximum strength also works out pretty well. But how do I get the transfer from the classical problem that first of all I get I trigger the slow and only later on the fast fibers? How do I get this transfer done successfully with EMS? And how do I shape my training? When I use, this speed, explosive strength with the elderly, I try to integrate fast movement. And I try as quickly as possible to generate a lot of strength. This includes jumps. I'm not talking about what you might see in terms of CrossFit in some halls, jump on a box 50 times, etc. I saw that too, that for, the elderly it's pretty difficult to exercise. As of a certain age, some people are very happy if they can actually master or could actually master such a step. For many people, it's possible. So we start with little jumps. I build up tension, and then I simply try to do it like this. This a little, upward movement. And this is where many people already fail. So what do I have to do? How do I have to approach this in EMS training when I've got somebody who finds this difficult? Can I simply start jumping with them? Well, like this, or like a little bunny hopping up and down. Well, it doesn't help me. No, I have to teach this person. And this is when we come to fall prevention. I have to practice landing with them on their 2 feet so that I have a clean landing on my feet and that this movement doesn't continue downwards. Who is training people older than 70 years of age? Raise your hands. Oh, yay, we've got a few more. Wonderful. So how, as a rule, do we train these people? What is transported in the media? They try to cover the aspect of vitality. Just pay attention. All the magazines that are to address the elderly, vital is there. And the second buzzword that comes up is agile. What does it mean? It has got to do with speed, with versatility. And then would you take a handing, very lively and agile? Or I don't know whether anybody would feel addressed, the agile racer at the age of 70. I don't know. Well, strictly speaking, is exactly what we need. We need these explosive strength elements included. So what does it mean? Once I want to have this power, I need to generate energy. And here we have got this energy. Wonderful melody there. ATP. Generating energy, adenosine triphosphate. This is what provides energy when I split energy. And for this, I need an important mineral, a minor matter. Then this is calcium. And here again, this leads us back to osteoporosis. This is the link to vitamin D. So if I do not receive enough vitamin D, I do not save and store enough calcium. Once I do not store enough calcium, I might not have enough energy at the end of the day. You become aware of that at our age, that many of us feel a bit lame, that they can't really get going in terms of muscles, and they don't manage good positive muscle contraction. Maybe just take a look at vitamin D when the summer comes. It's the best supplement indeed. Be outside and the open, move a lot and take in the vitamin D, and then food and nutrition, but this is not our topic. And then what's happening in age? It's hormone changes, and EMS gives us a great topic here. It's a local EMS study that was conducted, and then say, okay, I've got arbitrary contraction, and then the EMS induced, and then willing contractions. And with EMS, I've got an up to 3 times higher output of growth hormones, and this is like anti-aging hormones. It helps you to better use your body protein, and when there's muscle gain, you can provide support. When I can retain muscles, I better manage to reduce body fat. So right here, this is where I would have to start, and I usually need it in a high intensity. And with EMS, we do not have to go so high to include the fast fibers I require for doing so. What do I have to consider in terms of planning when they're senior citizens? I have to make sure that I've got the right stress and strain level and, recovery in between the recreation. With senior citizens, they do not have their 6 to 7 strength training sessions, but you should never underestimate that their regeneration periods are often not long enough. At their age, I know it from my parents, you all of a sudden do more than you did pre-retirement, because they never have time. And this is a decisive issue. When I train older people, I, as a trainer, am obliged to always stick to the same time in the week. My oldest clients, they are the most reliable ones. I think Wolfgang Kemmler is right. It's a great target group. They remain. These are the clients I've had for years. They always come each and every Tuesday and Thursday. I've got clients at 10, 11, 12 o'clock. These are the times where usually we run idle. And this is where they are, right there, standing at our doorstep. They don't have to think, do I do it prior to going to work or or after? They do not want the hustle and bustle in the fitness studio at 6 p.m. And they fill the gaps we've got in our schedules, and they do not only fill the gaps a little bit, but, in an optimum way. And so I have to take time with them, and I may have to address these topics. What about your recreational capabilities? Are you drinking enough? How do I proceed? Functional training is often mentioned. What does functional imply? And first of all, I have to think about mobility and stability I have to build up before I move on to parameters like endurance. So somebody who's unstable, who doesn't have a certain level of mobility in the joints, this is a person I cannot intensively stress and strain. I have to build everything up. And this is why I'm thankful to Sebastian for what he talked about, the step issues. I have to gradually enhance step by step. And then for the elderly, do have a plan. The only people asking me, what are we going to do next time, are men and women older than 70. They want to know whether you are proceeding according to plan. Looking at the advertising in the EMS and the fitness sector, specifically, it's very much tailored to young people. It's about, losing weight, being slim in so and so many weeks, and gaining so and so much muscle mass. Most of them are only interested in this to a minor degree. No, they are interested in whether you look after them very well. So the number of clients per trainer is important. From static to dynamic, we talked about it at length. I have to start slow slowly keep something, retain it before I transfer it into mobility. And what are the, requirements you have? I try to use certain positions, keep them, and then I move from one position to the next one. I enhance this whole process more and more. And what is important, I try to get feedback. Where do you feel it? How intensely is it received by this and this part of the body? And this is what I would love to do together with you. You are not here at a little fitness symposium to sit all day long. And this is why all of you pretend to be a group of, senior citizens. I said as of 30. At some, areas as of 25. You are senior citizens. Everybody who feels affected here, and all those who would like to train senior citizens may get up now. And what we are going to do now is we are going to perform a few simple and effective exercises I love to do with the elderly. Number one, I take up a basic position. I set this aside. I usually press on this all the time when I tense them. Then my position will be over, and then the next one. Okay, basic the position. Those working with EMS, they know what I mean. Feet hip width, shoulder width, firmly on the ground, knees slightly bent. Your buttocks should stick out slightly towards the back. Then your breast, lifted proudly, and then tense everything a little bit. We do not want to press your abdomen out, but have a basic tension. It's like the cylinder we talked about, the diaphragm, pop the lid on it, and then how do we get it? It's by, also breathing, exhaling, like this. And this is the position. And when you've got this position, for your customer, and once they have taken this position, you tell your client they should focus on their target. Many senior citizens want to lose weight, or they want to simply feel better. How do I feel better? By simply, having a few hormones that are, shed. And we do just this. We stay in this position. And what I want to do is I want to train power. So I imagine movement at maximum speed as fast as I can. I try to tense my whole body as fast as I can. We do it together. High level of tension. 3, 2, 1. And now I let loose. I let go. 3, 2, 1. Okay, here we go. And very slowly, energy is coming back from all this sitting down in the chair. You imagined it. You didn't have a really fast movement. It doesn't change a lot, actually. But I try to do it. All of you go down into half a squat. Some have very tight trousers. I don't want it to be the Vatter who destroys your pants. In your, imagination, just go down a little bit into half a squat and stay in that position. And then move up again. And now we do it with a lot of willpower. Go down. And this means that we don't imagine this fast speed, but we would like to build up tension. And we build up tension right here, up there in the upper part of the thigh. Put your hands down there so that we feel it. Let loose at the beginning. You can still move your muscles a little bit. And now tense it very, very firmly so that these are the hands of the trainer checking that you are really under tension and that it's firm. And now very slowly press your buttocks down and don't let go in terms of the tension. Firmer. And then we press from the very top and go down. And now we just imagine that we're sitting on a little ball, and now we have to let it burst and go down and press this ball down. And then, then again, tension, and you move up and exhale. Isn't it nice? Isn't that a great feeling? You may sit down again. So what was it? It was a squat. There's one thing, however, which I did. I put some pictures into your head so that there's more that happens than in a simple squat. Because, going down in a squat, it's now there's a squat part also in German. And to be honest, I've trained my oldest son, well, the oldest person I trained was 80, 85, and in between he had another trainer, and he said, I didn't understand what they want from me. I was supposed to do some what's, yeah, and some deck lifts. Well, it was deadlifts. Well, and what Sebastian, and Panos just showed to us were these things. Well, and then use images. He's supposed that with his bottoms he is closing their straw. Doors open. You use your butt to do it. Whatever you can imagine, whatever you can transfer to your everyday situation. So, what is the most important thing when we talk about vitality right here? I have to give the right instructions so that this person feels vitalized. And this is what we've got in our studies. We try to kick out motivation completely when we conduct the studies, because we could say the trainer was good and the device was average. A good trainer can also get a result with an average device and equipment. We have to show that the device can do something. All right, here, so as a trainer, as an instructor, just like here, that's a few years back, and my client, I was still young there. Oh, yeah, I was already a senior. Well, come on. I had passed the age of 30, working in a visual, verbal way, and then in a tactile way. So what do I do on a visual level? I show them, I exaggerate. So when my customer walks around like this all day long, I first of all stand in front of him just like this, in this posture, so that I reflect the situation. They have to realize all of a sudden, hey, hello, Hans. And then he will feel, oh, I've got this posture again. And I say, yes. And now, come on, we move up a little bit. And automatically, he will imitate me on one or the other one. So they also did that automatically. This is a must. You are like forced when somebody looks at you just like that and said, well, now you sit up. Then automatically the eyes will follow and will move up. And you gain in terms of height. So this is number one. This is the visual thing. Then verbally speaking, I have to explain to the client what they're supposed to do, and then in particular the elderly want to know why. No, not because it's fun. Well, that's it's interesting to somebody who is go to a Zumba course. I never ask anybody in the Zumba course, why am I going to do this turn in the third movement? Well, when you've got the elderly there, this will happen to you. They want to know why. How do I benefit from this particular movement, and not it's simply fun. I want to distract you. And if it's the case, just tell them. Be honest. I sometimes do that. I tell them, well, it's just that you forget your knee and your knee problems. Now you do something for your shoulder up there, and you're moving. Okay, tactile. Well, you instruct them when somebody's got this back problems, back pain, and I really tell you, even the elderly without back problems, they do come, due to back issues, and this is how we start. What is so unfair is you cannot take this away from the elderly. Once the back pain has completely disappeared, they do not have a lot to talk about once they're not suffering from pain anymore when they meet others. And this is, the tricky part about it. So when you have got the elderly, not the result, the outcome is the target. They do not want to run to walk faster than 5 kilometers. Maybe some athletes amongst them, yes. But in principle, the whole process, the path, joining forces, doing something together, the social component is so decisive as to why somebody, when they get older, stick to it. My oldest clients actually said to one of my trainers, I come here because I get perfect entertainment and I haven't got anything else to do during the day. Otherwise, I do not have any problems. The little, twitch here and pain there. And I love food. But with you, I have fun. During this hour I spent with you, and there's no need for me to focus on doing any homework. And most people don't want this. And then mental visualization. What does it mean? I really have to plant something in their brain so that they know what to imagine. If they say they want to have more muscles, well, then all the time, this person should learn to perceive and to feel, use these muscles if they want to. If they say, I want to be slimmer, when they press out their belly all the time during training and make themselves broader than they are. So I have to be careful that they get the tension the way they want, and then they feel, hey, this is the perception, this is the feeling. With the vest, you said, all of a sudden they feel, during breathing, this is very tight, and this corset is something they should actually feel. And this is work during the pulses given, but also during the break times, the rest time with these people, because they tend to let go, let loose, and not keep up the tension. And they should understand that in everyday life they cannot do it either. It's not like this crate, I take it up from the ground and then I let go. No, there I have to keep up the tension, and when I carry my crate of beer or mineral water, and it's not only 4 seconds, I have to build up to gain strength. In our case, lower intensities are sufficient compared with classical strength training. I shouldn't ask them to do too much, but neither should it be too less. The elderly who are trained by young trainers are often treated very carefully. Some of them survived the Second World War. They can take something, I can tell you. The older they get, the more they can endure. And right here, you have to stop them sometimes, even go down in terms of intensity, to make the exercise more difficult. There's conscious tensing, and then slowly sitting, and then maybe checking by shaking them. Is your body under tension? To have this tiny little competitive spirit, they need these requirements, and in everyday life, they don't have enough of these challenges. Take a look at the magazines out there. So I, prior to my presentation, thought about, come on, what are you going to do? I tried to take a look at studies, at magazines, read magazines on old age and sports. 99% only talk about endurance sports, and then senior citizens gymnastics in a nice circle of chairs being set up. I do not find anything for simple non-athletes at a high age regarding strength training. I don't find anything. So strength training is interpreted in such a way that I take a 1 kilo dumbbell and move it. Well, to be quite honest, when they go shopping, then their shopping bag is about 5 to 10 times heavier than the dumbbell they've got in their hands, 500 to 1,000 grams. No, they require a challenge. Come on. That's what you should give to them and pose to them. So when somebody wants to be under tension, they get that. And I check it. I do not need to increase the level further and further. No, there's no need to do that. I have to make this exercise so difficult that they see, I can perform well. Then I provide resistance. For instance, going back with their arms, or to push something away. And I give them a resistance, not a continuous one, so that they lean in or towards the front or the back. No, I hold it, and then I pull a little bit. I challenge them, and what will happen right here? And I check it with you. It's a wonderful exercise indeed, and all of you are allowed to stand up again. So, come on, move. This is important. It's also a great exercise just in between when you sit there at your computer for a long time. Just use your hands, hold them together, shoulders down a tiny little bit. Then a firm, stable position on the ground, knees slightly bent, like in the basic position. Then now tense your arms too. Just imagine that you are under fire, that there is electricity and impulses coming in. And now the arms are starting to move to and fro. Only the arms, the rest of the body remains stable. And when we do it slowly, like for senior citizens, I do it carefully, I do it slowly, then nothing is going going to happen. And now we do the whole thing again. Okay, now a bit more tension, and now we really move to and fro. And your hips are starting to shake all of a sudden. And then keep this up, and another 12 seconds, please. Okay, we go down. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. And now relax. All of a sudden, everything is active, isn't it? This is the very simple way of getting my client to tense all the muscles in the body. I give them some assistance. We change. We take the other hand now. Well, for some, this is highly demanding in terms of coordination, isn't it? Then I try to build up pressure. Well, your feet firmly in the ground, and I press them towards the outside as on the floor. So I pull my feet apart, and I do it again. And all of a sudden, I will see, my legs become more stable. Something is happening, and it's, more difficult for me to talk, as you can see. Another 10 seconds. Well, you're out there in competitive mode. 5. No, not the head. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. And all of a sudden I will see, tension everywhere, isn't it? Did you feel it? Did you perceive it? Yes. Well, here a little bit. When I tense it, I get more stability. When I let go, it moves to and fro. So sit down again. You're nearly through with it, nearly survived. Then, apart from such tiny little games, as I call them, I can, in a playful way, get my clients to give more, to be, more conscious in attention and not let the device do all of it. And then I should never forget that they also need to recover, to relax. And this is often neglected. And then, diet, the nutrition and hydration. So they have to drink enough. We know that many of the elderly forget to drink, and they unlearned this feeling of thirst. And often they interpret thirst or confuse it with hunger, and then they start eating instead of drinking. So you have to point this out to people, and this is why when they come, get half a liter of water to drink. And also when they complain, they drink this, at least half of it prior to training, at least, 0.3, 0.4. Ideally speaking, they drink the whole lot. Then they start complaining all the time. We are not there, a cow's stable, so that I have to drink water. I'm not a goat either. And then I have to, see what they're suffering from. Upper thighs, osteoporosis, back pain, you name it. Anamnesis has to be correct for the elderly. I have to ask whatever could play a role. Contraindications are not important to me. I have to know how I treat this person, how I train this person. And once I do this correctly, then, I will be able to do a proper job in training them. How I do that, we've got more information during our training courses, during the workshops, and who would like to engage in some further training may feel free to, approach us. There's the Glucker Congress in May, very dear to me. I can highly recommend it. I think all the speakers will then give you more practical and theoretical workshops. Any questions on your part? Anything? Nobody wants to do that and to move, like we did?
Just for you to remember, there will be a final closing panel discussion involving many of the speakers of today, and you will then have the opportunity to ask questions. You will also be part of this panel discussion, and I remembered this this mode you gave us. We will now break for a drink. Yes, thank you. This applause is for you.